Hello everybody, how are we this magical Friday night? So, just smudge the cards again. How are we? What have we been up to? How has your week been? I'm so excited to be on here doing some readings. Let me just click my comments. Okay. How is everybody? Now, just remember, the comments come through. Hi, Rachel. How are you? Hey, Kavita. So, what I plan to do is just remind you all that the comments have been coming through in large batches. So if I don't get to you and you haven't commented in a while, I won't be able to go up and see your stuff. So just keep asking for a reading. You'll see me come to the end of a reading, and that's a good time to just send through a reminder, because I do slightly longer than readings than some of the other amazing divine hosts on this group, because that's kind of the nature of archetypes. So, bug just flew straight at me. I've got the window wide open for some of this beautiful air to come in, and we'll see how we're going. Okay. So we have the beautiful Chloe. Oh, and just before I start the readings, I will just tell you guys that I've been crafting and building for the last 3 months a group coaching program. So I started with one-on-ones, and then I've been slowly building a group coaching program. And in the curriculum, there is 4 modules. There is over 16 archetypes and counting, with over 9 hours worth of content around archetypes, your soul esteem and your self-esteem archetypes, the martyr, the shapeshifter, the procrastinator, the perfectionist, the bully. There's lots there. Then there's a relanguaging relationships module. So how can we have better relationships with our partners, our parents, our friends, our family? And it's by understanding and studying the other person's archetypes as well as our own, and being respectful of our own archetypes and being respectful of theirs, and learning to, listen in a different way, because, you have to be respectful of their archetypes. It's as simple as that. But if you don't know what they are and their personality types, then that's where we get so easily offended, and that's where we get, we just don't understand. The third module is Marketing Maverick. So all the stuff that I know about marketing on Facebook, cross promotion, there's tons of tutorial photos as well, like videos, how to create Canva posters, how to schedule stuff on Facebook Lives. And if you don't understand how to do something, then you just ask and I will film a tutorial for it. The fourth one is the Content Queen Creatrix. So it's how to come up with creating content. A lot of people will say to me, oh, I don't know what to say. So I take all of that away by creating this workbook that you go through, and you'll literally have months or years worth of content ideas. But I go into the truth of the matter of what are the main archetypes that are going to be blocking you. Because when people say, oh, I've got writer's block and I don't know what to say, that's not the actual truth. It's usually the perfectionist needing it to be perfect. And sometimes it's the prostitute with needing things to, you don't feel worthy of being seen and being known. And the self-worth needs to be healed. So you kind of reverse engineer and find out why. So really excited. So that's just the core curriculum. Then there's two calls a week, an hour long, where you come to class, and then there's all bonuses. Haven't even got to the bonuses. All the description is up written above in the text above this video, and a link if you would like to know more. So I'm offering a scholarship off the first round of people, so first 5 people to sign on. I put this offer out just a few hours ago, and I've had 1 person sign up immediately, so I'm very excited about that, and another person's booked in for Monday. So things are divinely flowing, and I'm in extreme gratitude. So if you're really interested, feel free to ask me any more questions. I'm super excited about it. So the beautiful Chloe. I just wanted to reassure you, Chloe, that there's been a lot of people having really like physical symptoms, a lot of headaches. And it was really interesting because after I had a few people telling me that, another person who does astrology said that we've moved into the time of Aries and that headaches can be more predominant. And I went, oh. So I'm going to give you a reading, but I'm also going to say, you know, dose up on tons of garlic. World's greatest natural antibiotic, and just really deeply nurture yourself. And if you have got anything that you think you need to be like asking yourself, you know, if you've been getting prompts to do anything and ignoring, sometimes the body's also like a little bit of a barometer. Oh, Carrie, you've had headaches as well. So yeah. Okay. Claire, you're from Murwillumbah. I was raised from 5 in Murwillumbah. I went to Murwillumbah East and Murwillumbah High School. All right, the beautiful Chloe. What have we got for you? Oh, this is really interesting, Chloe. I kind of said it before I've even pulled the cards. Okay, so you have the empty room, which is that void space which comes between death and rebirth. So sometimes it's when you're taking that pause and it's time for things to bubble up. So it could be literally the ear and all the infections is to actually slow you down and make you go quite internal into your cave. Now you have that shadow. Hang on, the round cards get spiraled and I pull them out the wrong way. So the shadow is where we just look and go, hey, have we been listening to our intuition? Have we been lying to ourselves? Is there something that we are not facing? If you've been getting the inspiration to drink more orange juice or go for a walk or get up an hour earlier to meditate and you're ignoring it on a consistent basis, sometimes the universe just kind of like knocks you and taps you on the shoulder and goes, well, you know what? You're not listening. So we're going to make you pause and stop and really deeply listen. The other thing that's really interesting is you've got the river, which is all about emotions and surrender, going with the flow. So there is something that you're not listening to, and that's what you're going to have to really go into your shadow and look at and go, oh, I didn't know you were there, and just surrendering to the process. Now, remember, sometimes the greatest times of surrender is where you just literally go, I don't know what the F is going on. You need to just show me. I'm at my wit's end. And you deeply ask from a place of absolute surrender. You can even swear. I've sweared before when I'm at that place and I still get my prayers answered, because it's about that intention of like, I am actually ready to listen and do what you tell me. So I really feel like you need to say like a sacred vow, or do some prayer work, some ceremony, and go, what is going on? Because it feels to me that the sinus and the infection is actually more, whoop, I just lost everyone over there, is more than just a physical symptom. It's kind of like the physical body's representation of an energetical or a metaphysical issue. Does that make sense? Chloe, I'm like that at the moment. I'm studying my diploma in childcare and I'm only 2 modules in and already have to give up. Did you want to do the diploma of childcare, or did you pick it because it was a, like, was it a passion or was it a practical decision? You know, I'm just going to have to take a sip of water because I left the white sage burning and I've got a lot of smoke in here. So, yeah, are you really, really passionate about it, Chloe? Or is it something you're like, oh, this is a good career option? I'm very curious about that one. Because it can mean two things. Sometimes when we pick something and it is, there was a special going on the diploma. So sometimes, I'll just say it this way. When we make a decision that's, you know, not as much, we're really passionate about it, sometimes we'll get diverted to something we are more passionate about. And then the other thing is sometimes if it is part of our soul purpose, it is something I wanted to do and get under my sleeve. I've done my cert in school 5 years ago. So sometimes if it, when we're moving and shifting into something that's part of our purpose, our container needs to go through an upgrade in order to hold more energy. But that card is the vessel and you didn't get that in your reading. So I'm more inclined to say, do some deep soul searching and say some prayers and really see what comes up for you, because there's something in that shadow that needs to be really looked at. It's like you've been put on pause for something and it needs to be revealed, and just surrender to the process. Don't fight it. Go, okay, I'm willing to look. Show me, show me, show me. I surrender. And see what comes through. Okay, so let's have a look. Rainbows and diamonds you've shared. That's really beautiful, gorgeous. Thank you. Let's see what comes through for you, gorgeous. You got the Judge. Let's see if you're judging somebody else or judging yourself. Julia, you've asked what's behind me. It is actually a painting done by one of the Numina Aboriginal sisters up in the Northern Territory and maybe Arnhem Land, that kind of area. And they paint bush medicine leaves and seeds and flowers. And this particular one is the bush seeds, the bush medicine seeds. And I just thought, for what I do with my coaching, which is planting the seeds and watching them grow, basically, is helping people to stay consistent as they're watching their dreams grow and keeping them on track. You know, when I say I have written in my thing that I'm a courage activator. So some people can get really overwhelmed with so much to do, and I'm like, no, bring it back to the seed. So I kind of feel like people, when they're watching me, they're getting bush medicine without even knowing it. So I love it. Okay, Crystal, one more card. Beautiful. Okay, so you have an interesting reading. Oh, thank you, Julia. Crystal, you have the Judge that comes through. And sometimes, well, this is a card that's twofold. It's be like, where am I judging myself? But it also can be, where are other people are judging me? And then you have the unseen right beside it. So it's like you have a fear of them projecting their judgment towards you, or you actually might have somebody in your life who is judging the shit out of you, and they're sending their projections towards you. You have a very decisive card with the third one. So the third one is that sword, where you just cut straight to the chase. You cut straight to the truth. This is this is taking action immediately. So if I was to look at this reading, it's one of those readings on an archetypal level that can be two things. So it can be, you're actually afraid of other people's projections. So say, for example, lives, say like this. If for your business, you wanted to get up, start doing Facebook Lives, but you're worried about what your family's going to think, what your friends are going to think. Maybe you need to come out of the spiritual closet and go, I am a fantastic witch. And you're just like, oh, what are they going to think of me? What are they going to do? And it's actually, the sword is like, in this instant, is where you're using that sword to be decisive. So you commit to working upon this specific issue with your sabotaging patterns. Now, if it's the other way, and it kind of feels like it could be both. This happens with archetypes. If it's the other way and somebody is actually just being really judgmental towards you, you might be starting to, you want to, write a book, or you want to start a business, or go and learn to be a vet nurse. And all these things bubble up, and they, you're like, I really want to do this, and then you might have a Dobby Downer in your life, and the Dobby Downer might be, oh, you're never going to do that, or you have tried to do that. Just be practical. Stop being so whimsical. Go out and become an accountant or a lawyer, or something that's, guaranteed employment. Don't be that artist. Do you see what I mean? So sometimes the projections can actually be judgments in what they think is a loving way, but it's not. Yep, that's your sister. She's a downer. So it's really important that when she is saying something that's a Dobby Downer, you need to actually, in that moment, use a technique to cut the etheric cords, because she's actually sending energy towards you. That's what the unseen card is telling me. So it's very simple. You grab your power hand. I'm right-handed, so that's my power hand, and I wipe it down from my heart chakra to my root chakra. So it goes from the heart through the power center, through the sacral towards the root. And I can do this when I'm in the middle of a shopping center, and it looks like I'm wiping off some dirt. But what I'm doing on an energetic level is I'm like, not attaching to me, and I wipe it away. So it's really important that you do that, because for whatever reason, she's adding energy into it. And you don't need people's projections when you're trying to manifest, when you're trying to step up and be courageous and take some new step. You know what I mean? So it's really important that you do that. And if you are you know, judging yourself or judging another or judging some kind of situation, then you're going to have to bring out that sword and do that internal work as well. Does that make sense, Blossom? Okay. Well, let's have another little, I'm just going to take some more water and have a little sip. You're in a similar position. If you're being that projections towards you, Julia, that swiping technique with that intention, cut that away. No hooks are coming into me. I reject this energy. It's incredibly powerful. It's so simple, but it's your intent. Okay. Now, that water actually tastes like really old. I'm gonna have to go and just grab some juice or something. The the sage smoke has actually really dried out my throat, and that's actually made it worse. So I'm gonna have to run, people. I'll be 5 seconds. Okay, people, sorry about that. That is so much better. That water's been sitting beside my desk for like 2 weeks. So apparently, if you have bottled water that sits there, it tastes like something really weird. Okay. So Crystal's got, sure does, thank you. Needed to hear this. Super accurate. Awesome reading. Thank you. Now let's have a look. We have got Julia. You are, now brace yourself, people. I'm going to smudge again, but I'll put it out this time. Okay, plopping it out. This way I don't, you know, I could never be a smoker because like literally it does this to me just with white sage. Okay. Julia separating, and does she move out? I'm going to ask, do you move out? And I'm going to see what cards, not like he or she. I'm going to ask if you move out. It's really interesting. I'm going to say I reckon he should or will, but it's going to come down to your frequency and being really, really grounded with that stone card as well. But the masculine came in, which is the, I think, being the father and the divine masculine that represents him. So these two are going to be the important ones. The eternal child stays in joy and lightheartedness and open-mindedness. That's not easy when you're separating, but this is literally what they're asking you to do, is to stay into that frequency of like innocent expectations. And like everybody might be going, oh, don't be ridiculous, he's not going to be that easy, and you're just like, He's going to move out with grace and ease, and I'm going to have the place to myself. So a lot of people, when it comes to the eternal child archetype, like somebody who is joyful and like that all the time, it's their predominant archetype. A lot of people like to grow up, don't be silly, and all those kinds of things. But they're a superpower at manifesting. If you can stay in joy, high vibrations and high frequencies, and open-hearted and expected, and just being really super positive, then you can manifest so quickly. Children are amazing at manifesting because they don't have half the bullshit going on up here. It's done out of sheer high vibration of, no expectation and joy. The stone is being grounded. Make that decision. I want this house. You could even grid the house, get crystals that represent something to you, and grid and be really deeply settled. This is my place. I'm not budging. This person's going to move with grace and ease. So those two things feel really solid to me. You've lost all that and have been working on it. Perfect. Now, sometimes these things come up as a test. I was literally having this conversation with one of my divine friends about an hour and a half ago, and I did a little mini reading on her, and she's very, very sensitive to energies, and she's like, something's going on, and she's been so tested recently to stay in, positivity. Like, she had a little mini car accident and wrecked someone's fence, and like, she's offered to pay and do all these different things, and they were just being so ridiculous towards her. And she's trying not to be triggered, and she did so well. She, even when she paid them the money, she felt good while doing it. And the card reading that she got was kind of like planting healthy seeds. No matter what's happening to her, she is flipping it into a higher frequency and planting. And I said to her, it's like you're planting with your good actions and your high vibrations and the things that you're flipping these negatives into positives. It's kind of like you're planting seeds that are going to grow into mighty oaks, because you're just like, I'm determined to just stay in my high vibration no matter, and she's doing fantastic under such severe testing. And I just feel like you might be tested with that as well. No matter what he says, other people says and everything, you're just going to go, no, I'm getting my joy back. I'm focusing on the joy. And so make that predominant. Write a list of 5 things that nurture you, bring you joy, make you happy, and bring those things into your life on a daily basis. And yes, you said you haven't thought of gridding. Look it up. I know an amazing lady who does these grids, and she's got some grid sets on sale. Her name is Kylie Demouy, and she has a group called, a page called Wish Upon a Star Healing. So I don't know which grids that she's got, but you could even talk to her and see what grid would be appropriate. And but when you look at her crystal grids, you can just see the energy on them. They're just powerful. She's really good at it. So if you remind me, send me a message to my business page, Jess Beard Inner Alchemist. I will get you a link to her business page, and just ask her a couple of questions, or you might be drawn to one of her grids. I wonder if I could. Sometimes it lets me post comments, and sometimes it doesn't. Wish upon a star healing. Does it let me do it? It did. So I can't post in groups, but I can post on a page by the looks of it. So that's the name of her business page, and I did see some up for special in her shop, but if you're not drawn to them or you want to ask specific questions, she'll be able to help you out. She's amazing. Now, let's go to the next person. The beautiful Jenna. Let me just take another sip, gorgeous. And I'll smudge the cards again. Okay, let's put that one out. You're most welcome, Julia. Stay positive. I know that sounds simple and annoying, but in your instance, it's actually going to really help you shift frequency into manifestation, and you get to keep the house. And just so, yeah, I see myself in this house. He's left, he's fine, perfect place, everybody's happy, really high frequency, and that's going to help you manifest, gorgeous. The beautiful Jenna. It's coming up for your dad's 1-year anniversary since he passed. Oh, beautiful. I lost my dad when I was 21, and that first year was not easy. Kind of think I just was in survival mode of get up, sleep, get up, eat, work, sleep, get up, eat, work. It's, my heart really goes out to you. Let's see what comes through for you on an archetypal level. Oh, wow. You have an unusual first card. And it doesn't feel as heavy as it normally would. So it's the Destroyer. Now, that doesn't sound pleasant, and it not is the most pleasant of card. But for me to ask this specific question of what's going on, it could have come through on an archetypal level to just talk about a huge release of grief. When this card comes up, and it's talking about, a part of ourselves. Yes, that's her, Julia. Thank you so much for putting that link. So Jenna, when this comes up, it usually talks about like a part of ourselves needs to be completely looked at, annihilated and released. So on a sabotaging level, it usually comes through when there's specific sabotaging patterns. Because you're talking about grief, I'm wondering whether or not this card is indicating that there might be or there has been like a massive grief release, or if there is any pattern that you might have which is kind of no longer serving the grieving. And by that I mean things like, so when my dad passed away, my mum used to listen to the funeral songs, put them in her earbuds, lie on the bed, have a cry with it, and then that was fine. It helped her with that first initial part. But if she was still doing that 12 months later, then I don't think that would be as healthy. She didn't do it for that long. It was just part of the initial process. So I suppose I have to ask this question, even though it's a bit full on because it's such a sensitive subject. but I'll just ask you to just check in with yourself. And is there something that you're holding onto that is actually time to be released? Is there something that you are doing which your instincts is like, you know, he wouldn't want me to be doing this, worrying about this. So that just have a little bit of self-assessment. And if you can't find anything within you, which is something that you need to release, then I would say that this is just indicating that time of a real emotional, you know, cleanse and letting go of, you know. And that day that I was with the first anniversary, I was like, oh, you know. But you have threshold, which is a really positive card to go right beside such a big one. So it's like once you release whatever that is, whether you have that big absolute grieving moment and it like bursts like a bubble and you're so relieved, or you might have something that's in there and you're going, you know, I know. And this card often comes in when we know what we're doing, and it can be a specific sabotaging pattern. And you know what it is that needs to be released. But this one following it up is such a huge positive sign, because it's telling me that whatever that destroying archetype is going to lead to such positivity. And that threshold moment where you're like, I'm ready to take this leap of faith. So thank goodness we came up with a positive card. And then we have the offering, which when we want to receive something from the universe, when we want an offering to us, we must sacrifice something in return. If we want financial success, we have to sacrifice our fears and our doubts. If we want a successful, loving relationship, we have to let go of our past hurts and our past traumas. You can't bring the baggage into the new one. So do you see what I mean by sacrifice? It's if you want something, you have to let go of anything that is like holding you back. And see, that really ties in with you're on that threshold ready for this new thing, and it has to be relieved. Now, if this was going in, Jenna, to pure grief, this is telling me that you're coming up, you know, to the 1 year anniversary, but it'll be more than that. It's not just a date. It's more like a specific defining moment, which is like a massive release. And you actually like a Mount Vesuvius moment. It comes up, explodes out, and you have that release. Or it can be talking about if you do have an unhealthy pattern that's no longer serving you. It is time for that to be released, and it's so time for that to be released. It's a real, like, it's like, even though they're not the world's easiest of cards, they're quite positive feeling to this reading. I have 2 young kids. My mum hasn't put him to rest like he wanted. Plus, she has been contesting his will, basically being very horrible. So I don't feel as though I've had the time to really get past the fact he's gone, and I never got to say goodbye. Death brings out the worst in people. They really do. And I'm just going to swear right now and say people can be complete cunts. It's just no other word for it. So I'm so sorry that that is happening to you. That's just awful. And if you tie that in with this reading, then maybe there will be some kind of a release and like something will happen with that contesting of the will. If that destroyer is coming in and that is a representation of her, yeah, that's really full on, Blossom. I don't know why people act like that. I really don't. And just why some women can be so vile. I know quite a few stories where, they've been separated for years and, she contests the wills and she gets it. It's just awful. Threshold sacrifice, something or other. I'm going to take a picture of your reading, Jenna. I've taken a picture, and what I want you to do is message me on my business page, Jess Beard Inner Alchemist, say hi. And I will sit with it and I might see if I can draw some other cards. Because now that you've told me about your mother, I'm not 100% sure about that destroyer one. Because literally this reading could be taken in about 5 different ways now that you've told me about that. So I don't want to take up too much more time for the other people. Yeah, that's a hard one, Jenna. So I will draw some more cards for you privately, and I'll move on to the next person. But I'm just sending you so much love, and so I usually attract the most gorgeous people in my comments, and I'm sure everyone else will be sending you lots of love as well, because that is huge. And may your mum open her heart up to divine grace so that she can have the clarity to see her actions and the pain and the trauma she is causing. And so it shall be. So I'm sending you lots of love, and I'm sure everyone else here as well. And I'll pick a couple of other cards just so I can get a bigger clarity, because it's some archetypes, when they come through, they have multiple levels. And with that new information, I just don't know about that destroyer card. It can be her, or it can be internal grief, or it can be a pattern. So I'll try and get some more information for you, beautiful. Okay, so don't forget to send me a message on my business page and I will do that. Okay. Okay, Angela Simone. What is that black thing? Is that like a cockatoo? Or is that a dog? A rooster? I can't see with your profile picture, but the mind boggles. Okay. Let's have a look what comes through for the beautiful Angela. Oh, I see how they're boots now. They're up on the railing, but because I could see the back of you, I thought it was an animal. But if you did have a cockatoo or an animal and it was called Boots, how cool is that? Mm. Okay, you have a really beautiful reading, Angela, but it's very personal and it's quite deep. So your first one is the bridge, which is, you are journeying from one side to the other. It's a transition from one way of being to another way of being. I also feel like you could actually have this as part of your archetype. So people who have the bridge archetype are people that people come to advice for. So if a lot of people come to you and go, oh, they tell you problems or they want advice or what would you do in this situation and things like that, that's because you're a bridge of information. You are a bridge of helping them see from A to B. So yes, that might be one aspect, but it's more like you're on an internal journey yourself. You're on a between point A and point B. It's almost like a bit of a spiritual journey or a journey of self-discovery. You have the mountain card. Now, usually the mountain indicates you're trying to climb up to a summit. You're trying to obtain something, get somewhere. And you have to be careful that on the way up, you don't get so competitive that you lose focus of the fact that it is a journey for something that you're wanting, not for other people. It's a deep thing for yourself. And in fact, see a little doorway and a little man standing in there? The truth of the journey is that the answers are within you. The gems are within you. All is within you. So yes, you can be on that climb to success or on that climb to spiritual enlightenment. You can be on the climb for promotion, climb for happiness. But don't get distracted by other people and other things. The answer is within. The gems are within. So say you're wanting a promotion or you're wanting to start a business, and that is the representation of the climb. Look, starting my business, I want to be successful. You don't look elsewhere. You don't go and judge, like spend half your time looking what everyone else is doing. Your actual truth is going to be in here. It's going to be your intuition. So your intuition will say, okay, let's go and do this. Let's write this. Let's do a podcast. Let's do such and such. And it's nobody else's idea but yours. That's the power of the mountain. It's within you. But fear guides me too much. Ooh, I'm an expert at that specific sabotaging pattern because I did it a lot for myself for a very, very long time. So I deeply understand. But you're on that journey and it's now time, because guess what is your third one? Dun, dun, dun. Oh, helps if I have it the right way. The heart. Now, the heart is exquisite self-love. It is loving yourself so much that you outdo any fears. So when I'm teaching with my archetypes, and you have the 4 self-esteem archetypes, and then you have the 4 soul esteem. The lover is the higher aspect of the prostitute. So the prostitute is, where do we prostitute our soul? Where do we allow fear and doubts of self-worth stop us from doing the things that we are meant to do in this lifetime? And the lover is where you love yourself enough to push past those fears, to heal any doubts, and to stand there and go, I am actually doing this because I can be deeply of service to people. I can help people. I can bring through that information. You wouldn't have the bridge come into your reading if you're not going to be helping people. So this card's really beautiful. It's loving yourself on such a deep level. So this is telling me that you're on that journey and it's really coming up to be worked upon, that you love yourself enough that you actually take that action and that you start listening to your gems and your truths and you bring them out to teach. The bridge, healers, shamans, mystic teachers, They help people get from A to B. It's gorgeous. And it's just, I'm actually got like a little bit of a build up in my eyes. And if I allowed myself to, I could cry right now, but I'm not going to because it's joyful. But it's the real energy of like, sister, it's time, it's time. So I really want you to make a commitment to yourself to push, 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 and do whatever is needed to just trust yourself and do the things that you deeply want to and love yourself. Oh, you're crying too. Yeah, archetypes are amazing. They're my greatest joy in this lifetime because it just you can speak to that archetypal primordial parts of ourselves. I'm still teary, and it's really, it is really beautiful. So that was such a pleasure, and it's such time for you to ascend through your fears and doubts and to really take action. I can't remember if I did. I think I did. In the description, I put a link to my group. It's a free group called Courageous Sovereign Women, and they're just the loveliest bunch of women in there, and they are all wanting to work on moving into their sovereignty as well. So you're more than welcome to go in there, introduce yourself and what you're wanting to do. You can talk about what you're wanting to manifest, and you can also talk about any fears or doubts. So, that's perfect. Okay. The beautiful Kylie. Let's see what comes through for you, gorgeous. Is Carrie, are you still on? Your name just popped into my head. You still on the reading or watching, Carrie? Okay. The beautiful Kylie. Joy. You have a really beautiful reading as well, Kylie. It's like a little bit of a journey into truth. So you have the eternal child, and the eternal child is, I don't know if you were on before, but I was talking about it. It is joy and being really optimistic and open-hearted. Now, I almost feel like this could be one of your archetypes as well. So sometimes the people that have the eternal child, they're very optimistic and they can seem almost naive to other people. So if anybody has ever said to you, grow up, Kylie, stop being silly, Kylie, that's not how the real world works, Kylie, or kind of puts you down in any way, and anybody listening to this, anyone's telling you you're too whimsical, you're too silly, you're too foolish, grow up, that's the worst thing that you could say to somebody who has the eternal child archetype, because you're literally telling them that there is something wrong with them when there is nothing wrong with them. Yes, that is said to you. There's nothing wrong with that. This is your superpower. So there's people who are grumpy. They go out and they meditate for hours. They pay a lot of money. They go to shrinks. They go to everything to get to the point of where you were born with, which is just to be happy, joyful, easygoing, la-di-da, can shift things. Oh, well, let's go do this. They pay money to do that. And because they get stuck in this, I got to make money, I got to do this is how the world works, they put you down. And it's the worst thing we can do, because it's people with your frequency that keep the collective going, because you can see the shining edge of the cloud, whatever that thing is, the silver linings of the cloud. You can see optimism so much easier. Your frequency is easier to clear. So you have 100 grumpy bums, and then you have you, and you can come in and you can light up a crowd. You can, just make people's days so much more joyful. And that's if you acknowledge your superpower for what it is. And I also am talking to everybody out there who's watching this, and I've done it myself sometimes. If I'm near somebody and I'm in a grumpy arsehole mood, and I have, no, you're not flippant or blasé, you're just got the eternal child. It's part of who you are. So people get jealous. Like if I'm in a grumpy mood and I'm around somebody who's in a really happy mood, I look at them and I'm like, how dare you? And I've worked a lot to do that, but everybody will. And you're just in an easier going mood than most people can be. And it's your superpower. So if I allow it, you could come stand beside me when I'm all grumpy and you could shift me as easy as pie. Or I can be a total bitch and I can be like, yeah, you're not getting it, and I try and put you down and flatten you. You have an initiation card of Aletheia, which is truth. So we're tying this into relationships, and I want you to really make a commitment to yourself that you're going to find the partner who loves your eternal child, loves your flippant blasé, loves your ability to shift and change. Because if you can do that and they honor an absolute vital part of you, you're going to have a lasting relationship. If you have somebody who gets aggravated by that and is flippant towards your one, they're going to just flatten you, and it'll be toxic, and it'll be really just not right for you. So you have a really beautiful card for the third one. I've loved all of your cards, by the way. It's the vision. Now, the previous lady was talking about the mountain. Have a look and see the mountain? It's at the center. So the mountain is you with your gems, who you stand for. It's cradled with transformative, the snakes. It's cradled with the hands, and it's got those wise owls. So the vision is asking you to know yourself really well and what's for your greater good and what makes you, what you really want. Take ownership of your creative powers as a co-creator, and take ownership of how amazing you are, and hold that vision. The card is called the vision of the person that you want to attract into your life, who is going to work with you on and complement you and not crush you down. So I see this as an incredibly beautiful reading. If you take ownership of that manifesting power, and that joy is in that eternal child is a superpower, and you hold the vision of what you would like, and you go in because you're in initiation. What are the truths? What are the truths of what I want? What is the type of person that I want to manifest in? What are, what personality traits do they need to have to complement mine? What have you, look into the past, the things that you've had in your past relationships and go, well, I don't want that. And be really truthful and honest for yourself. This is a really positive reading, and really take ownership of how amazing you are. Amanda's got, I have fumbled upon you and I don't know how. Have just heard the inner child. So true what you just said. Ah, it's so true. The eternal child, so that's that one there. So when people, you're most welcome, Kylie. I'm so excited for you. So Amanda, when most people talk about the inner child, they're talking to, actually, this is something I need to define for most people, so it's good that you've said this. Your inner child is actually your inner parts of yourself, which happened to you during childhood. You go in and you talk to your inner child. And your child archetypes were created by Caroline Myss, and then people have adapted them from there. So there's a couple that I kind of have named different things or I've witnessed in other people. And so it's quite fascinating. So you can have the adult child, the eternal child, the wounded child, the petulant or needy child. You can have the magical child. How you discover your child archetype is you look at how you react when you're hurt, offended, and like, what is your reaction? So my reaction is, if something doesn't go my way and I'm deeply freaked out, I don't want to know about it. I want to run away. So I have the magical child, not because it sounds all fantastic. No, it's because I'm a daydreamer. And if something happens and I'm not really happy about it, I want to go and escape into a book or watch a movie or go sit on the toilet for half an hour so I don't have to deal with you. That's my child archetype at play. If it's really bad, like, so when COVID happened, I was moving, there was tons of jobs. And then literally we move here, I start applying and they went from being like 100 jobs to nothing. And I just spiraled because I'm an Aries and I like control. And here's this virus, and everyone's buying toilet rolls, and like, there was just crazy. There's nothing on the shelves, and I'm just like, I can't control my reality right now. I'm having a meltdown. So it activated my addict. Now my addict is reading. And when my addict is out of control, I will read till 4 o'clock in the morning, get up, sleep in, get up, read, watch movies, do nothing, don't want to deal with the reality. So that was me having my COVID meltdown in April last year. And so, yes, Kylie, there is nothing worse to an eternal child if they're told to grow up. But here's the thing, is your eternal child is your superpower. And not just that, you are a superpower for the whole planet. Because you can just effortlessly shift from the people who I coach working with their sabotaging patterns, a lot of them have to work so hard. I have to work so hard at times to shift my thinking into something more positive. And you can do it like that because it's your archetype with the child. So, when I say superpower, I mean it. And you actually can be of huge service to the planet. And you usually go into vocations where you bring a lot of joy to other people, either working with kids, nursing, teaching. You're in something or other where you can bring joy to people. That's when you shine. And then society tries to push you down, and it actually hurts. So that's the eternal child. So it's quite a fascinating subjects, archetypes, because if you can understand which your child archetype is and how it reacts when offended and triggered and hurt, you can learn to control yourself. You can learn to go, okay, I'm actually offended because they've said this and my child's having a freak out, but I'm going to activate my sovereign. I'm going to activate my warrior, and I'm not going to do this anymore. This person doesn't even know that they're offending me. And you can flip it and stay empowered in the moment instead of going into all of it. And that's the thing, Kylie, is once you start to know the stuff about archetypes as well, it's quite fascinating, because once you know that you have the eternal child and that it is your superpower, if you give that power away and allow other people to hurt you, it's actually yourself allowing yourself to be victimized. And I know that that's the hardest thing to say to people, because nobody likes the V word, victim. But that is one of the self-esteem archetypes. And quite often, because our child gets offended, we get hurt, we go into the story, and then we allow, and that's the key word, we allow ourselves to be victims and to be victimized. You did this to me. And instead, you could have flipped the entire thing and just gone, I am not allowing you to take my power away and offend me. You might call me that I need to grow up, and I'm going to tell you that you need to be more playful. And see how you start to change you flip it and you change the conversation and you change the way that the narrative is happening, and you don't allow yourself to get offended. And it's actually a lot easier, Kylie, for eternal child than for a lot of other people, because you can be quite optimistic. But there is also quite happens is if it's happened a lot, you can also have quite bad self-esteem, like self-worth issues, and that prostitute can be quite wounded, because you've had a lifetime of people saying that you're less than, there's something wrong with you, you need to grow up. So I always, usually when someone presents to me and they've got the eternal child, I will usually 90% of the time have to work with the prostitute archetype as well, because they need to know that they're worth it. They are worthy of that amazing partner. They are worthy of an amazing business. They are worthy of this, and this, because you've spent a lifetime being told that there's something wrong with you, when there's nothing. It's something wrong with them. So I hope that made sense. I've gone over time, which I'm unfortunately known to do. I am sending you all love and healing. I think you are all amazing. And Amanda, I hope that made sense with the eternal child and all the child archetypes. So just quickly, as you can see with the little banner going across, I am launching my group coaching program. I have all the curriculum and module descriptions written up above. So I talk about over 16 archetypes and counting. There's over 9 hours worth of content in the library. There's also archetypes in relationships, so how to relanguage your relationships and talk to your partners, your family, your friends, your colleagues. How do you talk to their archetypes? Then there's marketing and content help for those who are wanting to launch businesses. So that's not even with the bonuses and all the other stuff. So if anybody is interested in archetypes and wanting to know more of that, that's launching, and I am incredibly proud of what I've created. It's my life's work. To date, I'm adding to it constantly, because the more people ask me questions, the more I'm like, oh, like the beautiful Florin, how are you doing, gorgeous? She asked about being holographically aligned. And I'm like, well, that actually needs to be done. So I'm going to do a masterclass next week on that. So yeah, that's what happens. Usually people will be talking about a specific archetype and so I'll go and do a video on it. So I am sending you all lots of love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're all amazing. And I'll be here next Friday. Claire saying, hey Minoni, I'm from Wollumbar, share twice and after a reading, please. I will send it to you, Claire. Sorry I didn't get to you, Blossom. I do take longer so I don't see as many people, but I give longer readings because I just don't think you can do archetypes quickly. Not as much. So I'm sending you all so much love, and all my details, business details, and my group, my beautiful, amazing free group is all in the description. So if you want to stay in contact, I will see you there. So bless you all.